Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. This is an interesting video because it's in part true. Wait, it's also in part total nonsense and wholly comedic. And I also think, unfortunately, as much as the individual that stated it had good intentions, it will now be spun by everyone else and will become more of a joke and a meme. Which I think is quite tragic, actually, because I think that if you get down to the core basis of it, there's actually some good intention there, and I think there's a shred of truth, but then also some total absolute nonsense as well. So what am I talking about? Well, you read the headline. Doctor Who being a woman is the reason why men in the UK, young men, are turning to crime. I mean, Jesus. You couldn't make this crap up, could you? Like, you really... Look, FYI, Jodie Whittaker being Doctor Who is not why men are turning to crime. There are many, many facets of why men are turning to crime. As well as women, FYI. I can't believe... This is such garbage and nonsense, but there's a shred of truth, and we'll break it down and explore it and stuff. FYI, you don't want any of this kind of video on your feed. Just click off, right? Just click off this video because this one won't be for you, because we're exploring sort of socio-political issues and I guess a bit more of a broader stance rather than just Jodie Whittaker Doctor Who. Honestly, it's such garbage. So Conservative MP Nick Fletcher went a bit mental on this. Genuinely, right? So British politicians come under fire for making some rather outrageous statements during a Westminster Hall debate focusing on some of the issues facing men in the UK, including suicide, attainment in school, and the ability or inability to discuss mental health problems. Now, these are problems which, I'm a big proponent of men, I guess, and the sort of traditional sense of what a man is. I enjoy lifting weights, I enjoy cooking, I enjoy providing. I am what I would consider to be a traditionalist sort of man. And I also think that there are some tragedies which beset men which don't generally beset women, right? And that's sometimes self-inflicted. Men not wanting to cry, men not, suicide. Again, they're sort of, some are self-inflicted, some are sort of broader in terms of public perception. I don't know. Well, I'll read out what he says, and I'll tell you what I agree with, what I disagree with, and then we'll show you what the media spin is, because it's such garbage. So Tory MP Nick Fletcher, who led the debate, which is an important debate, right? Men's issues is an important debate in the UK. Like, men are killing themselves just left, right and centre, right? And it happens everywhere. It's across the world. And you need to get to the bottom of why that is. Why do men feel the need to murder themselves? I'm just going to kill myself. Like, why? Why? It's a big problem. It's a big problem if men are doing that, right? And it's worth a debate. But yeah, I think his response was a little bit nonsense, but not without a shred of truth. So he said everywhere, not at least within the cultural sphere, there seems to be a call from a tiny yet very vocal minority that every male character or role model must have a female replacement. That's not wrong, right? That is not actually wrong. Men are being replaced left, right and centre. So that's a true statement. There is no lie there. That is a fact. Is there any wonder we are seeing so many young men committing crime? Now, he does say, later on Twitter, he said in no way link Doctor Who being female to crime being committed by men. He's obviously talking about the representation of men in the media and in films and things like this, which is an inarguable fact, like it is. When I was watching Superman and Lois, one of the things which really stood out to me was how wholesome the portrayal was of a father figure, which is not something which we actually get very common and very often now in media. The father figures were tossed to one side massively, in fact. And there was a glorification of single womanhood, single mothers, women, and men were generally always portrayed as these sort of evil beasties in media, and that has been like that for a fair while now. But there is actually a transition starting to happen. Superman and Lois. Even in the bloody He-Man Master of the Universe Revelations Teela show, there was even some good commentary on fatherhood and father figures in that show. So we are starting to see it cross over and things like that. But yeah, it's an inarguable fact that has happened. Now he says this: teachers, parents and carers need to teach young men and boys that males can make a positive difference. Where's the lie? There's no issue with that at all. Promoting this can be done through various means, including through films and programs, yet something not often discussed is that the only characters many boys with no good role models in their lives see on television online are increasingly criminal. Again, I am genuinely surprised when I see good father figures in shows now. Right, and I do. This is what I do. I do this for a living. I watch shows and I do these videos and things like that. And so when I watch this, and I'm here going, well, I agree with him because I seldom see them. It becomes a hard thing to go, nah, he's talking absolute nonsense. It is true. It is true. Now he would add, obviously on Twitter, said I did not link Doctor Who being female to crime being committed by men. In fact, I was making a statement that boys and young men also need positive role models within the media, just as women do. No lie there. But unfortunately, this is the nonsense and drivel that comes out from mainstream media now. Juno Dawson says, yes, this is what's responsible for crime, Doctor Who. And then he says this: not poverty. No, crime and poverty are not one and the same. Actually, at all, in fact. Crime can be committed by rich people, and often is, in fact. Poverty not necessarily relates to crime at all. That's not, you can see trends and things like that, of course, but it's not a prerequisite for criminal activity. Cuts to services, such as? What services would prevent crime from young boys? No youth clubs. No, again, that would not stop it. In part maybe because of positive male role models and things like this. Poor mental health services. Okay, yeah, maybe, but most people, don't actually want to access those mental health services. Class sizes in state schools. Again, maybe, but it actually starts at home. And then we get the normal drivel that comes out from these idiots. Toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity does not pertain to crime. What is toxic masculinity? Toxicity is a term. This is an indefinable term. You can't look at that and go, right, this is what, because it's subjective. And rape culture. Do you want to look at how many women are sort of beset in the UK? Not that many. Not that many at all. It's not a huge amount. And in fact, actually in the UK, those that perpetrate them are gangs and organised, and generally pimp out children. And unfortunately, the mainstream media would not want to sort of report on the specifics of that because it goes against the narrative. And then, it says, nope, Jodie Whittaker, there is no one they will not blame for their failures. It's not conservative failures, unfortunately. So what this is, and this is where I will get sort of socio-political, I guess, it starts at home. It always starts at home, right? Like anyone who doesn't have a positive male figure in the home has a higher percentage chance of falling into criminal activity. Right? That's just a fact. Right? It is, you can look at the statistical likelihood. And whether, you can look at it as a cultural situation, you could look at it as a poverty situation. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is it comes down to people not having the moral fortitude to look at themselves in the mirror and go, I've had a child, I need to look after it now. Most, of certain inner city circles, individuals have a child willy-nilly and then just fuck it off. Because they also know that the state can look after it as well. In the UK, it's a pretty big thing. I remember when it was implemented and you could just see it all around you, is that women would just have a baby and boom. And FYI, I'm not saying all, of course I'm not. Don't get any of this misconstrued. You know, there are some sweeping generalizations here, but of course you have to do that without looking at, you know, I'm not going to pull out the actual statistics here to look at the percentile differences and changes and stuff. So just calm your tits. But there was a big boom in women having kids to get a flat or get a house, get on the council register. Because they knew that the state would provide for them. And I'm a big believer, actually, in, you know, social, sort of social care, I guess is the term. You know, individuals that need it being helped. But I'm also not an idiot, and I am aware that people take advantage of it. And that has happened from both sides, you know, from women and men. Men just thought they could just pop a baby in someone, you know, spread their baby batter around and it'd be fine. But yeah, unfortunately, because he said something which is true, but also sort of worded it in a way which has now been misconstrued, the message becomes muddied. You know, a lack of, again, starts at home, of course it does, but a lack of positive male figures across the board, right, is detrimental. It absolutely is. 100% detrimental. You could look, it's an inarguable fact. If you're doing it for women, you should be doing it for men at the same, right? You shouldn't be giving women positive role models at the behest of men being downtrodden and them not getting their positive role models. If it's right for one group, it would also be right for the other. And this is one of the main arguments which I had with He-Man, the latest, you know, Master Universe Revelations. You have a show which is centered around He-Man, a positive masculine figure, right? Big hulking dude, but positively masculine in terms of his moral fortitude, his sort of opinions on things. Very, very nice, wholesome, earnest. And you just swapped it out for Teela, an insufferable bitch in the show, basically. Someone who gets everything handed to her for no good reason at all, goes through a terrible character arc. And if you watch it all back to back, you'll see that she tells off, you know, a grieving mother and father that they lost their only child because she was lied to, and then suddenly doesn't want anyone to tell her the truth of her own mother, and then suddenly becomes the sorceress, and then suddenly saves the day and is even better than her mother as a sorceress through not knowing anything. There's no character arc, there's no hero's journey, there's no hero's sacrifice, there's nothing. She gets exactly what she wants because reasons. And that's an issue. That's a massive problem, because you swapped out a character in a traditionally, you know, little boys show for a woman for no good reason at all, because that's not even a good example of a positive feminine role model, especially when you had the female alternative, She-Ra. You had it. They literally gave women, girls, their own version of He-Man, She-Ra. So yeah, it's look, it's one of those things. It's quite tricky to sort of, you know, get your point across without people just shouting down and rammeting on about politics and all this left, right, and centre. It's not politics. This is not a political issue. This is a socio-political issue, I guess you could say. But it's not politics. You know, this is morals. These are individuals needing to, you know, actually look at themselves in the mirror and go, fuck, I've had a child. I need to look after my child and actually be a good role model for my child, you know, not just abandon it, which is all too common, which is a shame, a massive shame. And again, the real take home from this is that ultimately this message has been made a joke, and as a result of that, the message is now muddied and will not reach the point that it was supposed to have, which is that men do need positive role models, whether it be at home, which is the primary point they need them, i.e. you have a kid, you fucking look after it, or in media. And we are seeing men constantly being removed, swapped out, belittled. There's never it's not a good sign that women are raised up when men are downtrodden in media. That's bad. That doesn't show women to be good at anything if that's the case. You know, you would never see He-Man standing on Teela going, ha, you're a worthless piece of shit and I'm amazing. You just wouldn't see it. And yet in the latest series, you would have Teela constantly bad-mouthing, belittling the He-Man character. Because she's the bestest. So it's a shame, really. And I'm sure there'll be lots of people just shouting off down in the comments going, why are you talking about this? And, oh, blah, blah, blah. And shut up. It's my channel. I'll do whatever I want. If you don't like it, just bugger off. Me and Jasper, we're always here. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Thought you'd find this interesting. I found it to be somewhat interesting. And it is a shame, like I said, it is a true shame that the message will now be lost because of the sort of comedic spin that the media will take. Again, you have a child, look after it. If not, you are a scumbag.